Hello. Welcome to another video. And I want to talk about the history of Xbox today. Now, I know, kind of seems like it's out of nowhere, but I don't know if I'm like on an island with this, but I just watched the Power On, I think it is, the documentary series of Xbox that Xbox themselves put out. And I didn't know it came out like 2 years ago. And boy, that was very interesting. Part of it too that's interesting now is like watching that as an adult and thinking back to like those specific time frames as like when I was a kid that was like somewhat understanding of things and just having no real idea of everything that was going in behind the scenes with, Xbox and gaming as a whole. Quickly summarizing the documentary though, it starts off, it kind of talks about the kind of conceptual idea of Xbox, how it gets brought up, how they pitch it to Bill Gates and stuff to make it actually, stand on its own legs, how they push it over the finish line with the first Xbox, how they made it a thing out of pure luck, it seemed like, pure determination, because it did not seem like it was going to happen, and they made it happen. And then just kind of going through the Xbox life, to then going through the Xbox 360 life, to then the end sort of part of 360 where you had the Kinect, and then into the Xbox One, which was very bad, and kind of through to the end of that, and then just kind of it stopped right at kind of the reveal of the Xbox Series X, or just Series generation. I will say it definitely glosses over some things, but it does talk about the legit failures that occurred. Now, I know this is all public. People have known a lot of the history with Xbox and everything. I'm actually surprised I haven't looked more into it. I feel like I want to go and watch a legit deep dive in all of Sony's PlayStation now. I remember I watched this year a PlayStation 1 documentary because I have a love for the PlayStation 1, and just kind of going into my childhood with Xbox. And thinking, because I was born in 1998, so basically conceptually when Xbox was starting to become something around the same time, I had no idea what an Xbox was. The first of the OG Xbox. Don't even recall really seeing one until I think two of my cousins had one, but I wasn't there often. And I remember when we would be there and play it, it was basically we would just play Halo. And I think at my cousin's, the one time I slept over, and we rented Halo. I want to say Halo 1. It could have been 2. I was very young that I had no idea. Funny how we got to actually rent Halo 1 or 2 because it was rated mature. Yeah, that was my intro to Halo and I guess Xbox. Didn't care about Xbox though. I had a PlayStation 1, I had a GameCube, I had a PlayStation 2. That was my shit. But then I remember one Christmas, I forget what year, at what age group, because being that long ago and being that young, can't really tell all the times. I'm pretty sure it was the year that Xbox 360 came out, and me and my brother both, collectively, got a Xbox 360 for Christmas. It might have been the year after, actually, I forget. I remember the first thing we played, Feeding Fish or Fishing Frenzy, I forget. Thought was hilarious. I remember playing arcade games a lot with the Xbox 360, but it's funny how quick the pivot was from PS2 to Xbox 360. Mainly because Xbox 360's time was when I was to an age where I wanted to just play video games all the time, not necessarily just being a little kid kind of thing, But that was it. I loved the Xbox 360. Also helps. I would say 80% of my friends had Xbox 360s. The PlayStation 3 never really even crossed my mind of being damn, I missed out at all, which is always looking back seems funny because I had a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation 1. But I remember basically me, my friends, all the Xbox 360 kids would literally just point and laugh at the PS3 kids. Seems really funny, but that's how it went. And then I remember the Kinect came out. I remember getting the Kinect thinking, this is kind of fun, but at the same time, I really don't give a shit about this. The Wii definitely was more fun, seemed more gamer-esque almost in a way. The Kinect seemed like a goddamn gimmick and everything. It didn't go well, and it ended up crazy watching the documentary that the Kinect is used for so much stuff that has nothing to do with gaming now, which is kind of wild just how that turned out. And then it's weird because I remember at this age I didn't like watch gaming stuff, I didn't watch news, didn't watch press conferences, stuff like that, but I just knew, and me and my friends, we all like unanimously knew we were getting a PS4, not an Xbox One. And it's funny looking back now and being like, I made a amazing decision basically from being influenced by friends. Like if we're all getting Xbox Ones, I would have gotten an Xbox One, ended up fucked. But then Series X, I got that pre-ordered and I enjoy it. Xbox Series X is pretty good. The games, yeah, not the best, and it's not going great right now. But looking back at the documentary during the Xbox 360 life is definitely the most fascinating part, going through how they beat Sony to the market with that generation. The fact that they were outselling them, the fact that then the consoles were all failing, and then Xbox decided, fuck it, let's pay the bill to fix all this stuff. Thank goodness, because if they didn't, they were probably screwed at that point. Like realistically, people aren't going to go buy a second one. People aren't going to really trust them ever again after the fact. And it is just so crazy to see them and hear them talking about how they were at their peak. They were past Sony somehow in that generation. I know by the end, PS3s somehow outsold Xbox 360s. A lot of that garbage time. It's near the end of the cycle. Didn't matter nearly as much. Still counts though. And then just seeing how much they squandered all of that and how much they know they screwed up with just... It's crazy how the one press conference, everyone knows what it is. The one guy goes out, they reveal the Xbox One, and he says TV and television, I think about 2,000 times. I could be wrong. But it's funny seeing like the people, the developers, people who work there, everyone just sit there and be like, we know this was bad. And hearing them talk about at the time when they're checking social media and everything and just sitting there and being like, oh my God, we're losing everything. Everyone hates this. And I was surprised because when they were talking about it, they didn't have that CEO guy there doing like the documentary interviews. So I was curious, like in my head I was thinking he's probably not going to because he's going to feel like kind of shit on, stuff like that. But he was there. And boy, that man single-handedly basically destroyed Xbox. Obviously, not just his decision. It isn't single-handedly his fault, but the face of the fall of Xbox is squarely on him, and it just makes it so much more like wild in a way that he left Xbox before actually like seeing the Xbox One kind of dream through, you know. And then it gets into Phil Spencer kind of having to pick up the pieces, be like, here's this absolutely destroyed company. We don't even know what the hell we're doing. Developers don't know what we're... Like, no one knows what's going on with Xbox right now. Can you fix this? And he did for a long time. And now we're back into, like, a time period. Somehow Xbox is kind of not doing well. But, I don't know. The documentary is very, very interesting. How it goes through everything. And how one man named Peter Moore, old head of Xbox, before the guy that did the TV ad. But the Peter Moore guy was like the head of it throughout like the beginning of the 360 and stuff, and like, you know, the good times essentially. And then throughout Xbox 360, this other CEO that took over, he wanted to find the next giant thing rather than mastering the gaming side of it. And it's crazy thinking, like, seeing the stuff how they had the Xbox Entertainment Studios, they were going to do movies and all this kind of different stuff. And at that point, like, seeing that, you just know, like, they lost the plot completely, why they even started Xbox. And now all of a sudden the nerds that did programming to be efficient software type stuff with computers that stepped outside the box to even make a video game console, because it's in entertainment, they don't know entertainment like something like Sony. And they're going to go even further outside of that box by creating movies. You just had a feeling it was like, that's too far of a stretch. The fact that Xbox worked, you should have just took that and ran with it, and they didn't. And they paid for it. They're still paying for it, realistically. I don't know if they'll ever really fully come back from it. Obviously, it's possible, but crazy good documentary, though. Obviously, I'm sure they glossed over a lot of different stuff. They talked about Bungie Bits, obviously, because they have such like a tie-in with the first Xbox. And they talked about the crunch of Halo 2, stuff like that. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I knew stuff about the Xbox history and with the Xbox One, all that kind of stuff, but just seeing it more in depth was very, very interesting, honestly. But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, consider subscribing. Helps us out a bunch. If you have any thoughts on Xbox, if you watched this, 2 years ago or whatever, and have any thoughts about Xbox, I know it's completely different now because recently they haven't been doing too good. But be sure to leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out.